tunnels of terror are destroyed. For more now on the conflict, I'm joined by Ido Aharoni, consul-general of Israel here in New York City. Ambassador, good to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
I have got to ask you first of all, how is it that, how is the president's call for a ceasefire, where your principal ally, as this country has been since the establishment of Israel, how can he assert in those tones, speaking to your government, a demand for a ceasefire?
Well, I think if you look at the sequence of events, we accepted no less than 5 ceasefires that were proposed either by Egypt or by the United Nations. 2 of them were humanitarian ceasefires that were meant to provide the Gazans with the opportunity to receive medicine and goods and so on. But Hamas is the party that is reluctant to accept the ceasefires. So the question that we ask ourselves is, what needs to be done in order to systematically tackle this issue? Hamas was able to create a massive terrorist infrastructure in Gaza.
Yeah, we are all surprised and shocked at the intricacy, the sophistication of the tunnel network, and the difficulty with which the IDF has encountered initially in trying through airstrikes to destroy it. We've seen that. We've witnessed that. We're also looking at a great deal of violence, and I think that most of the world, well, I won't speak for to that issue, but it seems to me that most of the world understands very well the facts of the matter, the chronicle of the matter. Everyone seemingly, but this president and this White House. It is strange, and I've got to believe, well, deeply disturbing to the Israeli government that this president would suggest that the ceasefire is an appropriate strategy for a country under siege.
Well, we have to look at the whole picture. The big picture is that, you know, people give a lot of credit to the Iron Dome system. I think it's important to mention, and I do it publicly at least twice a day these days. That,
so noted.
So
noted.
Iron Dome would not have been possible without the support of the American people, the American government, the American legislator, and we're grateful for that. The Iron Dome is an amazing system. It's not perfect, but it's near perfect, that it allows us to intercept mid-air
yeah, but I'm not talking about the Iron Dome, with all respect, Ambassador. I'm talking about a relationship between 2 allies. And the fruits of the words that are emanating from the White House could be very dangerous, not only for Israel, in point of fact, but for the region and for decades to come. This is a president who does not seem to be aware of the existential challenges that your nation faces. And I would like to have a sense, and I think our audience would like to have a sense of exactly how you feel, your government feels, and will react.
I think you will find a consensus in Israel of appreciation for the overall support that we're getting from the American people, the American government. Over the years, it's true that sometimes there are differences of opinion on certain issues, but I think that doesn't really change the big picture, where the bond between the 2 countries, between the 2 governments, is really unshakable and unbreakable, as the president himself described it not once and not twice.
Well, one can, you know, we passionately, deeply hope so and pray so, but the words that are coming from this president are disturbing to many Americans, because they seem to, if you will, forfeit more than 60 years of history between the 2 countries, and unreserved support for the state of Israel. I think most Americans would like to hear that support articulated by our leader. Let's turn to Josh Earnest, the White House press spokesman, today, saying, quote, Israel and their political leaders often talk about the high standards they put in place to ensure the safety of innocent civilians based on published reports, as he put it, strangely, not intelligence or observation from our diplomatic corps. It is, he said, quote, apparent there is more they should do to live up to the standards they set. Your reaction?
Well, obviously, I think this is perhaps the most transparent military operation of late. We do whatever we can to minimize loss of innocent lives, from the fact that we actually call individual households. We call individuals on their cell phones to provide them with sufficient early warning, all the way to the fact that we have right now, as the sides are still fighting and battling on the ground, the border crossing between Israel and Gaza is open. 100 trucks cross the border every day into Gaza. It's an unprecedented phenomenon when you have an army aiding the enemy in time of war. This is a war situation. We have to understand, in war, innocent people get hurt sometimes. We don't do it intentionally. We don't target civilians purposefully.
And far more would have been wounded, killed, had not the Iron Dome been working.
Exactly. And people tend to forget that of the 700 or so reported deaths in Gaza, a big portion of the number are actually Hamas terrorists, which we don't count as innocent civilians. So it is true that when innocent people get hurt, we express our, of course, our sorrow, and when mistakes are happening, we investigate. We don't need, by the way, international investigation mechanisms. We do our own investigations quite well. As our history, we have a pretty impressive record when it comes to our ability to investigate our own actions.
Ambassador, good to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.